What if I told you that certain foods sitting in your kitchen right now have the ability to activate your body's natural DNA repair mechanisms and literally cut off the blood supply that feeds cancer cells? Sounds too good to be true, right? But here's what most people don't understand. Your body already has sophisticated defense systems built in, systems that can identify damaged DNA, repair it, and even prevent rogue cells from turning into cancer. The problem is, most of us are unknowingly eating foods that suppress these systems, while completely ignoring the foods that activate them. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every single day, your DNA sustains thousands of tiny injuries from normal metabolism, environmental toxins, stress, and inflammation. Your cells have specialized repair enzymes that act like construction crews, constantly patrolling and fixing this damage. But when these repair mechanisms get overwhelmed or suppressed, often through poor nutrition, chronic inflammation, or metabolic dysfunction, damaged cells can accumulate, and that's when disease processes, including cancer, can take hold. At the same time, cancer cells have a unique vulnerability. Unlike normal cells, they require massive amounts of blood supply to fuel their rapid, chaotic growth. They actually send out chemical signals that force your body to grow new blood vessels directly to them, a process called angiogenesis. But here's the fascinating part. Specific compounds in certain foods can block this process, essentially starving abnormal cells before they ever become a problem. This isn't about miracle cures or replacing medical treatment. This is about understanding the fundamental biology of cellular health and using food as precision medicine to support your body's innate healing intelligence. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which foods activate your DNA repair systems, how cancer cells feed themselves, and how to cut off their supply, the specific compounds that make this happen, and most importantly, the exact protocol you can start using today. This matters whether you're focused on disease prevention, healthy aging, or simply optimizing your cellular function for better energy, mental clarity, and longevity. Because when you support DNA repair and maintain healthy angiogenesis, you're not just reducing cancer risk, you're fundamentally upgrading how your body maintains and regenerates itself at the most basic level. Let me start with a simple analogy that makes this crystal clear. Think of your DNA as an instruction manual for building and operating every cell in your body. Now imagine that manual is sitting in a workshop where there's constant dust, vibration, and wear and tear. Every single day, that manual gets tiny rips, smudges, and errors. Somewhere between 10,000 to 100,000 instances of DNA damage per cell every 24 hours. This isn't abnormal. This is just life. Oxidative stress from normal metabolism, radiation from sunlight, toxins from the environment, even the natural process of cell division, all of these create damage. The question isn't whether your DNA gets damaged. The question is, how efficiently can your body repair it? Here's where it gets interesting. Your cells contain specialized enzymes, proteins like PARP, ATM, and P53, that act as molecular repair crews. They constantly scan for damage, signal for backup when needed, and either fix the problem or, if the damage is too severe, trigger the cell to self-destruct through a process called apoptosis. This is your body's quality control system. What the research shows is that certain nutrients and bioactive compounds can actually upregulate, meaning increase the activity and production of, these repair enzymes. A landmark study published in Nature demonstrated that compounds like resveratrol activate a family of proteins called sirtuins, which play a direct role in DNA repair and cellular longevity. Another study in Cell Metabolism showed that sulforaphane, a compound found in cruciferous vegetables, activates a pathway called NRF2, which boosts antioxidant production and enhances DNA repair capacity. But here's the critical part most people miss. Your body's ability to repair DNA isn't just about having the right nutrients available. It's about the metabolic environment those nutrients are operating in. When you're in a state of chronic high insulin, from eating too many refined carbohydrates and sugars, you create systemic inflammation. That inflammation generates reactive oxygen species, which are basically molecular missiles that damage DNA faster than your repair crews can fix it. You're simultaneously increasing damage and suppressing repair. It's like trying to fix a roof during a hurricane. The same thing happens with chronic stress and elevated cortisol, poor sleep, and a fatty liver. All of these metabolic dysfunctions interfere with your cellular repair mechanisms. So, the first principle to understand is this: DNA repair isn't just about eating the right foods, it's about creating a metabolic state where those foods can actually do their job. That means managing insulin, reducing inflammation, supporting liver function, and ensuring your cells have the raw materials they need. Things like folate, B vitamins, zinc, and magnesium, which are cofactors for DNA repair enzymes. If you're finding this valuable so far, consider subscribing. I post evidence-based content like this every day to help you understand what's really happening inside your body and how to optimize it naturally. Now let's talk about the second piece of this puzzle: angiogenesis. This is one of the most elegant and powerful defense mechanisms your body has against cancer, and most people have never even heard of it. Here's what's happening. Angiogenesis is the process of growing new blood vessels. Your body does this naturally during wound healing, exercise adaptation, and normal tissue maintenance. It's a tightly regulated process. Your body knows when to turn it on and when to shut it off. But cancer cells exploit this system. In order to grow beyond the size of a pinhead, about 2 to 3 millimeters, a tumor needs its own blood supply. Without it, the cancer cells can't get oxygen and nutrients and they simply die. So these cells begin secreting chemical signals, particularly a protein called vascular endothelial growth factor, or VEGF, that essentially hijacks your body's angiogenesis system and forces it to grow new blood vessels directly to the tumor. This is called pathological angiogenesis, and it's a critical step in cancer progression. Now here's where food becomes medicine. Dr. William Li, a pioneering researcher in this field, has demonstrated that certain bioactive compounds in food can inhibit pathological angiogenesis. They act as natural angiogenesis inhibitors. These compounds don't harm normal blood vessel growth, but they specifically block the excessive abnormal vessel growth that tumors require. In a study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute, researchers found that epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG, the primary polyphenol in green tea, significantly inhibited VEGF signaling and reduced blood vessel growth to tumors in animal models. Human trials have shown similar promise, with regular green tea consumption associated with reduced cancer incidence in populations studied in Japan and China. Another powerful example is genistein, a compound found in soy products. Research in cancer research demonstrated that genistein inhibits angiogenesis and slows tumor growth, particularly in hormone-related cancers like breast and prostate cancer. Let me be clear, this doesn't mean drinking green tea cures cancer. What it means is that these foods contain compounds that support your body's natural ability to regulate blood vessel growth, creating an environment where abnormal cells struggle to survive. Think of it this way: cancer cells are like invasive weeds trying to take over a garden. They need water and nutrients to spread. Anti-angiogenic foods are like shutting off the irrigation system that feeds those weeds. You're not directly killing the weeds, you're removing their supply lines, making the environment hostile to their growth. This is happening at a microscopic level constantly in your body. Research suggests that most people develop microscopic cancers throughout their lifetime, tiny clusters of abnormal cells, but the vast majority of these never become dangerous because the body's defense systems, including controlled angiogenesis, keep them in check. What we're talking about is strengthening that defense system through nutrition. The research is compelling. A meta-analysis in Nutrients Journal reviewed over 50 studies and concluded that diets rich in anti-angiogenic compounds, particularly from berries, cruciferous vegetables, green tea, and omega-3 fatty acids, were associated with significantly lower cancer incidence and slower progression in those already diagnosed. This isn't theoretical. This is measurable, reproducible science showing that what you put on your plate directly influences your body's ability to prevent cancer cells from establishing the infrastructure they need to become dangerous. So now that we understand the mechanisms, let's talk about the specific compounds that make this happen. These aren't just generic antioxidants. These are precise molecular tools with documented effects on gene expression enzyme activity, and cellular signaling. First, polyphenols. These are a family of plant compounds that include resveratrol, quercetin, EGCG, and anthocyanins. What the research shows is that polyphenols activate something called the sirtuin pathway. Sirtuins are proteins that regulate cellular health, DNA repair, inflammation, and metabolism. When you consume foods high in polyphenols, things like dark berries, green tea, dark chocolate, and red grapes, you're essentially flipping genetic switches that tell your cells to prioritize repair and longevity. A study in Cell Journal found that resveratrol increased the activity of SIRT1, a specific sirtuin that enhances DNA repair and extends lifespan in multiple organisms. Human studies have shown that regular polyphenol intake reduces markers of DNA damage and improves cellular resilience. Second, sulforaphane. This compound is found in cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, and especially broccoli sprouts. Sulforaphane activates the NRF2 pathway, which is your body's master regulator of antioxidant response. When NRF2 is activated, it triggers the production of enzymes like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase, your cellular defense squad against oxidative damage. Research published in Cancer Prevention Research showed that sulforaphane not only reduces DNA damage, but also enhances the detoxification of carcinogens in the liver. In one human trial, participants who consumed broccoli sprout extract for just 2 months showed significant reductions in DNA damage markers and increased detoxification capacity. Third, omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA from marine sources. These aren't just anti-inflammatory, they actually integrate into your cell membranes and change how your cells respond to stress and signals. Research in oncology reports demonstrated that omega-3s reduce VEGF production, thereby inhibiting angiogenesis in cancer models. They also support the fluidity and function of cell membranes, which is essential for proper DNA repair enzyme function. Fourth, carotenoids, like lycopene from tomatoes and beta-carotene from carrots and sweet potatoes. These compounds protect DNA from oxidative damage and have been shown in multiple studies to reduce cancer risk, particularly prostate and lung cancers. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that higher lycopene intake was associated with a 30 to 40% reduction in prostate cancer risk. Now, here's the key insight. These compounds don't work in isolation. They work synergistically. That means eating a variety of these foods together creates a more powerful effect than any single compound alone. For example, a study in molecular nutrition and food research found that combining sulforaphane from broccoli with EGCG from green tea enhanced anti-cancer effects beyond what either compound could achieve individually. This is why I always emphasize eating a diverse, colorful, whole food diet rather than relying on isolated supplements. The food matrix, the complex combination of fiber, polyphenols, vitamins, minerals, and other compounds, creates biological effects that isolated extracts simply can't replicate. If this approach resonates with you and you want more content that breaks down complex science into actionable health strategies, hit that subscribe button. I'm here every day translating research into real-world tools you can use. Let's get practical. You understand the mechanisms, you know the compounds. Now let's talk about the actual foods, serving sizes, and preparation methods that deliver these benefits. Green tea, specifically matcha or high-quality loose-leaf green tea. The research suggests that 3 to 5 cups per day provides therapeutic levels of EGCG. One study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who drank 5 cups of green tea daily had significantly lower cancer mortality. If you're using matcha, which is concentrated, 1 to 2 cups can be sufficient. Important, brew it at around 175 degrees Fahrenheit, not boiling, to preserve the polyphenols. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. Aim for at least 1 serving daily. But here's the trick. To maximize sulforaphane, you need to either eat them raw, lightly steamed, or pair cooked versions with a source of myrosinase, the enzyme that converts precursors into active sulforaphane. Myrosinase is destroyed by high heat, but it's preserved in raw cruciferous vegetables or mustard seed powder. So if you're eating cooked broccoli, sprinkle a little mustard powder on it. that reactivates the conversion. Broccoli sprouts are the most concentrated source. Just a quarter cup provides as much sulforaphane as 1 to 2 pounds of mature broccoli. You can grow them at home or buy them fresh. Berries: blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, and raspberries. These are loaded with anthocyanins and ellagic acid, both potent DNA protectors and angiogenesis inhibitors. Research shows that 1 cup of mixed berries daily significantly reduces oxidative stress markers. A study in Annals of Neurology found that women who ate berries twice a week delayed cognitive decline by up to 2.5 years, a marker of reduced cellular aging. Wild-caught fatty fish: salmon, sardines, mackerel. Aim for 2 to 3 servings per week to get therapeutic levels of omega-3s. A 4-ounce serving of wild salmon provides about 1.5 grams of EPA and DHA. If you're not eating fish, consider a high-quality fish oil or algae-based omega-3 supplement. Target 1 to 2 grams of combined EPA and DHA daily. Tomatoes, particularly cooked or concentrated forms like tomato paste. Lycopene is fat-soluble, and heat increases its bioavailability, so cooking tomatoes with a little olive oil dramatically increases absorption. Studies suggest that 10 milligrams of lycopene daily, about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, provides cancer protective benefits. Dark chocolate, at least 70% cacao. This is rich in flavonoids that support vascular health and inhibit angiogenesis. 1 to 2 squares daily is sufficient. Research in the Journal of Nutrition showed that dark chocolate consumption improved endothelial function and reduced inflammation. Extra virgin olive oil, rich in oleocanthal, a compound with anti-inflammatory properties similar to ibuprofen, and hydroxytyrosol, which protects DNA. Use it liberally, 2 to 3 tablespoons daily. A landmark study in JAMA Internal Medicine found that Mediterranean diet adherents who consumed high amounts of olive oil had a 30% reduction in cardiovascular events and significant reductions in cancer incidence. Turmeric, specifically curcumin, which modulates over 700 genes and has documented anti-angiogenic properties. The challenge is bioavailability. Consume it with black pepper. Piperine increases absorption by 2,000%, and fat. A teaspoon of turmeric with a pinch of black pepper and some coconut or olive oil added to food daily can be effective. This isn't about eating one superfood. It's about building a foundation of these foods consistently, so your body is constantly supplied with the molecular tools it needs to repair, defend, and thrive. Here's where most well-intentioned health advice falls apart. You can eat all the broccoli and blueberries in the world, but if your metabolic environment is broken, if you're insulin resistant, inflamed, sleep deprived, or your liver is overwhelmed, these powerful compounds won't be able to do their job. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine you hire the best construction crew in the world to renovate your house, but the foundation is cracked, there's water leaking everywhere, and the electricity doesn't work. Those skilled workers can't perform. The same is true inside your body. First, insulin and inflammation. When you eat a diet high in refined carbohydrates and sugar, your insulin levels stay chronically elevated. High insulin drives inflammation through multiple pathways. It activates an enzyme called COX-2, increases production of inflammatory cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, and creates oxidative stress. This inflammatory state not only damages DNA faster than your repair enzymes can fix it, but it also inhibits the very pathways, like NRF2 and sirtuins, that those protective food compounds are trying to activate. A study in diabetes care showed that people with insulin resistance had significantly lower levels of antioxidant enzymes and higher markers of DNA damage, even when their diets were otherwise adequate in micronutrients. So step 1 is metabolic. Stabilize your insulin. That means minimizing refined carbs, emphasizing protein and healthy fats, and considering time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting to give your body regular periods of low insulin. Second, liver function. Your liver is the metabolic command center. It detoxifies compounds, processes nutrients, regulates blood sugar, and produces critical proteins for DNA repair and cellular function. When your liver is fatty and inflamed, a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which affects over 30% of adults in developed countries. Its ability to activate and utilize these food compounds is severely compromised. For example, sulforaphane needs to be processed by liver enzymes to become fully active. A sluggish, inflamed liver can't do this efficiently. The same is true for fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, and E, which are critical cofactors for DNA repair enzymes. Supporting liver health means reducing alcohol, eliminating seed oils high in omega-6, managing fructose intake, especially from processed foods and sugary drinks, and eating liver-supportive foods like cruciferous vegetables, garlic, and foods rich in choline like eggs. Third, sleep and circadian rhythm. This is non-negotiable. DNA repair happens most actively during deep sleep. A study in Nature Communications found that just one night of sleep deprivation significantly reduced DNA repair capacity and increased markers of cellular damage. Chronic poor sleep disrupts the circadian regulation of repair enzymes and increases systemic inflammation. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep in a dark, cool room. Prioritize sleep consistency, going to bed and waking at the same time, and minimize blue light exposure in the evening. Fourth, stress and cortisol. Chronic elevated cortisol suppresses immune function, increases blood sugar, and diverts resources away from repair and towards survival. Practices like meditation, breath work, regular movement, and time in nature aren't optional add-ons. They're fundamental to creating a cellular environment where healing can happen. The bottom line, these DNA-repairing anti-angiogenic foods are powerful, but they're not magic pills. They work in synergy with a metabolic foundation of stable insulin, a healthy liver, quality sleep, and managed stress. If this integrated root cause approach to health makes sense to you, I'd love for you to subscribe. This is what I teach every day, how to create the conditions for your body to heal itself. All right, let's bring this all together into a simple, actionable protocol you can start today. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency and creating a pattern that supports your body's natural intelligence. Start your day with a cup of green tea or matcha. Add a squeeze of lemon. Vitamin C enhances the absorption of polyphenols. If you're doing intermittent fasting, this is a perfect zero-calorie option that still delivers bioactive compounds. If you're eating breakfast, include eggs for choline and B vitamins, essential for DNA methylation and repair, and add some sautéed spinach or kale with a little olive oil. Top with a sprinkle of turmeric and black pepper. For lunch, build your plate around a palm-sized portion of wild-caught fish or pasture-raised poultry. Add a large serving of cruciferous vegetables, roasted broccoli, Brussels sprouts, or a raw kale salad. If cooking, remember to add mustard seed powder or pair with raw radish or arugula to reactivate sulforaphane. Dress your salad with extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice, and a crushed garlic clove. Add a handful of berries or a side of tomato-based soup made with tomato paste. If you need a snack, have a small handful of walnuts, rich in omega-3s and polyphenols, with a piece of dark chocolate, or a smoothie with frozen berries, a scoop of collagen or protein powder, a handful of spinach, and a tablespoon of ground flaxseed. For dinner, another serving of fatty fish, or a plant-based option like lentils or tempeh. Load up on colorful vegetables, roasted rainbow carrots, red cabbage slaw, or a beet salad. Season with turmeric, ginger, garlic, and herbs like rosemary and oregano, all of which have documented anti-inflammatory and DNA protective properties. Finish with a small serving of fermented foods, kimchi, sauerkraut, or full-fat yogurt to support gut health, which directly influences systemic inflammation and nutrient absorption. In the evening, have another cup of green tea or herbal tea with antioxidants like rooibos or hibiscus. If you want something sweet, have a few squares of dark chocolate or a small bowl of berries. While food should always be the foundation, certain supplements can fill gaps. Omega-3s, 1 to 2 grams EPA and DHA if you're not eating fish regularly. Vitamin D3, 2,000 to 5,000 IU daily, depending on your levels. Get tested. Magnesium, 300 to 400 milligrams, ideally glycinate form, taken in the evening. Sulforaphane extract or broccoli sprout powder if you struggle to eat cruciferous vegetables daily. Curcumin with black pepper and fat, 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily. Beyond food, aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep in complete darkness. Practice time-restricted eating. Finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed and maintain a 12 to 14-hour overnight fast. Move your body daily. Even a 30-minute walk significantly reduces inflammation and supports metabolic health. Manage stress with breathwork, meditation, or time outdoors. Pay attention to how you feel. More energy, better sleep, clearer thinking. These are signs your body is responding. Consider asking your doctor to check inflammatory markers like hsCRP, fasting insulin, and liver enzymes to objectively track your metabolic improvements. This protocol isn't extreme or restrictive. It's about building a foundation of foods and habits that work with your biology, not against it. Start with 1 or 2 changes, build consistency, then add more. Let's bring this full circle. What we've covered today isn't just about preventing cancer or repairing DNA, though those are profound benefits. What we're really talking about is optimizing the fundamental cellular processes that determine whether you age with vitality or decline. Every single day, your body is making choices at the microscopic level. Repair or ignore, defend or allow, thrive or merely survive. Those choices are influenced by the raw materials you provide through food, the metabolic environment you create through lifestyle, and the signals you send through sleep, stress management, and movement. The foods we discussed, green tea, cruciferous vegetables, berries, fatty fish, tomatoes, olive oil, dark chocolate, and turmeric, aren't random. They contain bioactive compounds with documented, measurable effects on DNA repair enzymes, angiogenesis regulation, inflammation pathways, and cellular longevity. These aren't folk remedies. This is molecular nutrition backed by peer-reviewed science. But remember the context. These foods work best when your metabolic foundation is solid. That means managing insulin through carbohydrate quality and timing, supporting liver health, prioritizing deep sleep, and keeping stress in check. You can't out-supplement or out-food a broken metabolism. Here's what I want you to understand. Your body wants to heal. It has extraordinary intelligence and resilience built into every cell. Your job isn't to force healing with extreme interventions. Your job is to remove the obstacles and provide the conditions that allow your body's innate repair systems to function the way they were designed to. This is empowering. It puts control back in your hands. You don't have to wait for disease to happen and then rely solely on medical interventions. You can take proactive, evidence-based steps right now to reduce your risk, optimize your cellular function, and build a foundation for long-term vitality. So here's my challenge to you. Pick just one thing from today's protocol. Maybe it's adding a cup of green tea every morning. Maybe it's swapping your regular vegetables for cruciferous options 3 times this week. Maybe it's committing to consistent sleep for the next 30 days. Start there. Build that habit until it's automatic, then add the next layer. Track how your body responds. Notice your energy, your mental clarity, your resilience. These are real-time indicators that your cellular health is improving. And if this video added value to your understanding of how food influences your biology at the deepest level, do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm here every single day translating complex science into practical tools you can use to optimize your metabolic health, energy, and longevity naturally. You have more control over your health than you've been led to believe. Use it wisely. Start today.